Welcome to CIUT-FM 89.5. The following broadcast for the next 2 hours is a CIUT special, a tribute to Stompin Tom Connors.
Hello, everybody. Come on along while I sing my song. I'm just a happy rolling cowboy. I'm herding the dark clouds out of the sky, keeping the heavens blue. I ain't got a dime, just wasting my time. I'm just a happy rolling cowboy. Let me sing my songs till they call me home to the land beyond the blue. Welcome once again, friends and neighbors, to the Horseshoe Tavern, Queen Street, Toronto City in Canada. On behalf of yours truly, Stompin Tom from the potato fields of Prince Edward Island, Chuckle Chuckle. On behalf of the boys in the band also from the Maritimes, to my far right on the lead guitar, Mickey Andrews from New Waterford, Cape Breton Island. Thank you. This here long, skinny fellow that gets all the girls around here at the Horseshoe is Jerry Hall on the lead guitar from Buckins, Newfoundland. Thank you. To my far left, we have a fellow here from Glace Bay, Nova Scotia, Boom Boom, Randy McDonald. Thank you. On behalf of the staff and management of the Horseshoe Tavern, from all of us, all of you, have a pleasant evening. And come on along while I sing my songs. I'm just a happy rolling cowboy. Let me ride that long trail down to the end, where the skies are always blue.
Welcome to a special tribute to Stompin Tom Connors. I'm Steve Frittman, the host of Sugar Camp Music on Wednesday afternoons, and we're going to be doing a 2-hour special broadcast in tribute of Stompin Tom, great Canadian that he was, and we've got interviews with various people to happen during this time slot, as well as some clips from Tom and the past appearances on my programs, and a lot of great music. So a lot of great reminiscing about Stompin Tom Connors here today on this very special broadcast in CIUT-FM 89.5 University of Toronto Radio, emanating out of the Map Room in Harthouse. Well, you know, I started following Stompin Tom Connors before he was Stompin Tom. He was only called Tom Connors back in those days in 1965 in my hometown, Timmins, Ontario. And I can remember the very first song I ever heard by Tom Connors. It went something like this.
Twang, twang-a-diddle-dang-a-twang-a-twang-a-twang, twang-a-diddle-dang, another dang twang, another dang twang, another dang twang. I've been married now for a year or more, and my old guitar hangs by the door. That woman of mine says, "Hawk that, Luke, 'cause your mama dear needs a brand new suit." Well, I hocked my watch and I sold my dog, and upon the gasoline stove I hocked my ring and everything just to keep that woman in clothes. I even pawned a cat and I hocked my boots, and I sold a family car. But that woman of mine will be 109 before I hock my old guitar. Twang, twang-a-diddle-dang-a-diddle-dang-a-twang-a-twang-a-twang, twang-a-diddle-dang, another dang twang, another dang twang, another dang twang. She went out one day last week, I guess, and she won't come back until I say yes. In answer to her, "Hawk that, Luke, my old guitar for a swimming suit." That'll be the day when I pawn my heart like I pawned the gasoline stove. I hocked my ring and everything just to keep that woman in clothes. I even pawned a cat and I hocked my boots, and I sold a family car. But that woman of mine will be old and blind before I hock my old guitar. Twang, twang-a-dee, twang-a-twang-a-twang, twang-a-dee-dang, another dang twang, another dang twang, another dang twang. If she don't come back, I won't be sore, 'cause I don't give a hoot about her no more. A man gets tired of hawk that Luke, that woman of mine's too bad to shoot. Well, I hocked my watch and I sold my dog, and upon the gasoline stove I hocked my ring and everything just to keep that woman in clothes. I even pawned a cat and I hocked my boots, and I sold a family car. But that woman of mine will be in a box of pine before I hock my old guitar. Twang, twang-a-dee-doo, twang, twang-a-dee-doo, dang, another dang twang, another dang twang, another dang twang. The song ain't over yet. Still another dang twang, and 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 another dang twang.
Stompin Tom Connors and Another Dang Twang, Luke's guitar, and one of the original songs that he had recorded up in Timmins, Ontario on the CKGB Records label for the radio station up there back in 1965. Well, I've got Stevedore Steve, a longtime friend of Tom's, and he's going to be interviewing with us in a couple of seconds. How you doing, Steve?
Terrific show going there, man.
Oh, thanks, Steve.
And I liked what you selected for your first song. That actually was the first song you heard Tom play?
That was, well, not play, but on a record, yes.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
That was something. I like that. Yeah.
Okay, so, you know, I've gone back to the beginning here of my roots with Stompin Tom, 1964, 65 era, but you precede me by a good dozen years.
Oh, a little bit, yeah. Back about, 1952, I think.
Yeah, the year I was born, yeah.
yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your beginnings with Tom Connors.
Well, the very first time I met him was at a coffee house here in St. John, or Greasy Spoon, actually, and I was going to put a coin in the jukebox, and a little voice out of the corner said, "Play a good one, huh?" And I said, "Well, what's your idea of a good one?" He told me, "Oh, anything by Hank Snow." So I did. I played some by Hank Snow, and went over, sat down, and talked with him. I said, "My name's Tom." "Yeah, and my name's Steve," and that started off. That was back in '52. But we had actually met prior to that by a few years, when we were 7 years old in the hospital. I forget what he was in for, tonsils, I think, but I was in for appendicitis, and that's where we first met. And we were 7 years old at the time, so it goes back a few years.
It does. The big aspect of your relationship with Tom was basically traveling with him, hitchhiking across land, sort of becoming hobos. In the Wilf Carter mode, I guess. Yeah,
indeed, and we hitchhiked when the rides weren't running all that well. We'd catch a ride on a train, a boxcar, or didn't matter, coal gondola for that matter. We did, as a matter of fact, rode in open coal gondolas, different things. But we'd get a ride just to carry us on our way a little farther.
Okay, so what was the point of it all? You just were in St. John, you met at a Greasy Spoon.
Yeah.
Within months, you guys are traveling on the roads together.
Well, we wanted to see Canada. Both of us did, and he had a penchant for that for some time, even before me. And we both wanted to see Canada, see what the prairies were like, see what the mountains were like, see what different things. Yeah.
You were both 16 years old at the time.
When we actually took off, yes.
Yeah.
We just made it in at 16. We took off.
And you were sleeping in jails overnight, and
yeah. Well, the thing was, when you go into town, and a couple of ragged-looking highway kids, and you could get stopped and picked up for vagrancy or anything. Oh, we went right straight to the police station. We didn't have any money, so go right straight to the police station. So look, we just want to put up overnight, and we'll be right on our way out of your town tomorrow. And we frequently did get a cell, you know,
with a meal sometimes too.
Once in a while. Oh, yeah. One time in Paris, Ontario, we went in, did the thing, and the desk clerk put us up, and came in the morning. We asked if any possibility of getting maybe a little cup of coffee, a piece of toast, or something like that, and we thought we might get a little meal ticket. He said, "No, but you are getting a ride out of town," and he meant it. They put us in the back of a squad car, drove us out to the city limits, told us get out and get going, and don't come back. Paris, Ontario.
Stompin Tom Connors too. You know, they do anything to get him back there.
Oh yeah,
nowadays. So tell us a little bit about what he was like during that era.
He was kind of feeling his way around. He didn't know exactly where he was going anymore. Well, neither one of us did. Like as far as what we had lined up for life, or we had no specific plans or ideas yet. But I just kind of feeling a way around. He was busy wherever we could. We stop and play and sing songs and that, get a meal for the night or whatever, But we're just basically seeing the country, meeting people.
When did he start writing songs?
Oh, he'd already started before we even hit the road. Trying to think a couple of there's one he wrote. I think he was 14 at the time. The tax collector and me, and this is considered the tax collector going over to his dad. I call him his dad, Russell Elwood's farm over there in PEI, and the tax collector and me, and Rose or Prince Edward Island. I don't know. There's a few different ones at any rate.
When did you start playing guitar?
Well, I started, I guess, when I was about 16, but my start was considerably different. Tom knew a few chords, but Stan Guptill had showed me 3 chords, the forever beginner's D, followed by a thumb and forefinger G, just holding down the 2 outside strings and the 3rd fret, and that was his idea of G, and then an A 7th was supposed to be, was just laying a finger flat across the 2nd fret on the bottom 4 strings, and that was his idea of an A7th. Well, that was my start.
So did Tom inspire you to become a songwriter?
Oh no, I was writing songs too, poetry mostly, and then songs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we just had an awful lot in common, and we got along just great. As a matter of fact, one time in a little Thurso jail, of course, we've been talking on for months, and we realized just how close we actually were. We were like brothers, and he said, "I know what." He said, "He'd say we become blood brothers." And I said, "Yeah, how do you do that?" And he said, "It's easy." He said, I'll prick my thumb, you prick your thumb, get the blood going there, and then just push our thumbs together and join blood, and that makes us blood brothers." I said, "Fine," and we did. Yes, sir, we did.
For 16 years, you guys traveled together, basically off and on.
Oh yeah, yes.
And then he went up to Timmins and started his career.
Yes, yeah.
And then he started his career in a rough way, actually, with Rebel Records. He sort of got taken in that deal, didn't he?
I'm not sure exactly how that the business end of that went, but I know he was not happy or satisfied.
And I understand that's where he learned about the value of publishing, because when he tried to get his songs back, when he changed companies, they said, "Oh, well, then you have to pay us a whole bunch of money to get your songs back because we own the publishing rights." And I guess that stayed with him all along because he was very business savvy.
Oh yeah, he certainly was. He certainly was very business savvy indeed. And that was good, good for him. He could actually run a business by this time, and he knew what was needed, and it's a matter of selecting people to fill the different positions required. And and he did.
Can you tell us a little story that most people would not know about Tom Connors?
Well, I know a little story that, matter of fact, Tom and I have told this story different places. When Tom and Jerry Marks and I were going along the road, this was out in the country and right in farming area, we smelled something. Oh boy, that smelled nice. And we were not too awfully far away from a farmhouse with a pie out on the windowsill cooling. This was summertime, but there was this pie out there. So Tom went on up, sneaked on up, grabbed the pie and came down. We couldn't actually see him from where we stopped by the side of the road, down by a little bit of a ditch there. But he came back and said, "Look at what the lady gave us. Oh my, look at it." So we ate up the pie, and he said to Jim, "Listen, Jim, we shouldn't leave this here. Take the pie plate back up to her and thank her. Let her know." So up went Jim, the pie plate, and knocked at the door. She came to the door and he handed her the plate. And we could hear some muffled talking, and all of a sudden a squawk, and he came running out of there. She came running after him. She had, I don't know, it was a mop or a broom or something, swinging away. And it chased him straight on down the laneway out to the road. By the time he got down, we had already moved on. Yeah,
that's a great story.
Yeah.
He recorded one of your songs, The Log Train.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Did you write that with him in mind, or was that just one that he liked and said, I can do that song?
No. I wrote it, recorded it myself first. And, waiting for the log train. I was up around that area, Britt and, Bing Inlet and all around that whole logging area. And so I just put the thing together, and I knew there was quite a variety of ethnicity up there, too. And I was mentioning about the Scaler Jake, but a couple of boys from Manitoulin, French and English, German too, and a couple of the boys from Manitoulin.
Singing and raising a hullabaloo.
That's right. Waiting for the log train.
Yeah.
But, yeah. No, I didn't write that with him in mind at all. I just wrote it. He kind of liked it. And, he recorded it too.
We're going to hear that song in a few minutes.
Yeah.
I'm talking with Stevedore Steve, otherwise known as Stephen J. Foote, from St. John, New Brunswick. Grew up with Tom Connors. Spent a lot of time with Tom Connors on the road, and I bet you we just did the tip of the iceberg thing with you guys right now, eh?
Well, yeah. Could I mention one other thing concerning Tom? I was asked here a few days ago why Tom wrote all this Canadiana.
Good question.
It was a very simple matter. He was seeing Canada, or we were seeing Canada for the first time when we were just young fellas, but he was presenting Canada to Canadians. That's kind of a difficult feat. He was presenting Canada to Canadians.
Especially in those days.
Oh, yes. So, that was basically what he was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Steve, thanks a lot for this interview. I know you got to run off to a doctor's appointment.
Yes, indeed. But I'll come back hale and hearty. But, Steve, it was a pleasure talking with you, and congratulations once again on your fine show, man. You do a great job.
Well, thank you, Steve.
Yes, sir.
Stevedore Steve from St. John, New Brunswick. And we're going to hear your song, The Log Train, done by Tom Connors.
From Kirkland Lake to Perry Sound, from Nipigon to Timmins Town, the very best lumberjacks around are waiting for the log train. Blow your steam and click your wheels and toot your whistle and see how it feels. Coast the valleys and climb the hills and keep a rollin' log train. There's Scaler Jake from Elliott Lake, Pat McGraw from Mattawa, Cannerman John from Thessalon, all waiting for the log train. There's French and English, German too, and a couple of boys from Manitoulin singing and raising a hullabaloo. They're waiting for the log train. Blow your steam and click your wheels and toot your whistle and see how it feels. Coast the valleys and climb the hills and keep a rollin' log train. Supplies go up and the logs go down, and all the boys head out for town. When every payday rolls around, they ride in on the log train. We work the bush and rest the smell to spend the loot we earn so well. And when we're finished raising hell, we're back aboard the log train. So blow your steam and click your wheels and toot your whistle and see how it feels. Coast the valleys and climb the hills and keep a rollin' log train. From Kirkland Lake to Perry Sound, from Nipigon to Timmins Town, the very best lumberjacks around are waiting for the log train. So blow your steam and click your wheels and toot your whistle and see how it feels. Coast the valleys and climb the hills and keep a rollin' log train. Keep on rollin', old log train.
My first attempt at writing a country song was a poem called Reversing Paul's Darlin'. I put a tune to it, and I was singing it around when I was 12 years old. And then about a year later, I run away from home and PTI. I get back to St. John and start learning to play the guitar. And so that was my very first song that I wrote.
In St. John, New Brunswick, a city by the sea, there is a girl who's longing for me. She waits every day, she's waiting for my call, way up on the hillside by the old reversing fall. Her eyes are like diamonds, they sparkle for me. I can see them shining far across the sea. There's a rose in her hair, she's just like a doll, waiting on the hillside by the old reversing fall. Listen here, you old moon, I'm telling to you, I'm getting sad, so lonesome and blue. I left my sweetheart waiting for my call, way up on the hillside by the old river St. Paul. My little darling is calling to me, I can hear her song on the lonesome prairie. In dreams I can see reversing waters fall, I'm going back to answer my little darling's call. Goodbye Alberta, I'm gonna roam back to my darling, back to my home. I know she'll be lonesome, waiting for my call. I'll find her on the hillside by the old river St. Paul. She'll be way up on the hillside by the old river St. Paul. She's on a bar hopping spree back in Sault Ste. Marie. Because of me, she's now a fallen star. She could have been true, but I left her in the Sioux, and I traveled north upon the ACR. But if it's go home or be a roamer, I've made up my mind. So take me home tonight, Algoma Central 69. I was working one day when I heard this fella say he met my girl while drinking at the bar. Though we fought between us two, still he swore that it was true. Now I curse that day I rode the ACR. But if it's go home or be a roamer, I've made up my mind. So take me home tonight, Algoma Central 69. Though it might be in vain, here I wait for the train. I hope it's not too late to right the wrong. When she rolls around the bend, we'll be southbound again. Come on, old ACR wheels, move along. She's on a bar hopping spree back in Sault Ste. Marie. Because of me, she's now a fallen star. She could have been true, but I left her in the Sioux, and I traveled north upon the ACR. But if it's go home or be a roamer, I've made up my mind. So take me home tonight, Algoma Central 69. Take me home tonight, Algoma Central 69.
Move, train. Stompin' Tom, you're listening to a special edition of a tribute to Stompin' Tom Connors here today on 89.5 FM CIUT, University of Toronto Radio. I'm Steve Fruitman, and we have in the studio Eric Wilson and Leon Gallant. How you doing, gentlemen?
Very well there, Steve.
Great, Steve.
Nice to have you here. Leon, you're all the way from PEI.
Yes.
From Stanley Bridge.
That's right.
You know, and one of the original Gallants of this world.
Well, there's a few of us out there.
You're also a cousin of Lenny Gallant, are you? Like distant relative?
Yeah, we would be distantly related, definitely.
Yeah, and you came by Stompin' Tom Connors how many years ago?
Well, you know, to be honest, I only met the man once. I was in Charlottetown at Johnny Reed's bar.
That's where he got his start in Prince Edward Island, wasn't it?
That's one of the spots for sure. And that tour, he was touring with Graham Townsend, was on the fiddle, and
so that's about 93-ish.
Yes, somewhere around there. And I knew Graham a bit through, excuse me, his wife Eleanor had taught me fiddle lessons up here when I lived up in Ontario. So I got to meet Tom. Only met him the once, and I wish I would have got to know him better for sure. But I managed to get permission to record one of his songs through my great friend Billy McGuinness, the fiddler, who of course was about 7 tours with Tom. He's one of my best friends, so that's my connection. And I happened to be up here and got just around the memorial and got down to the memorial, seeing you there, and boy, oh boy, it was something to be there, and I got to meet a lot of his family and through Billy, and would have liked to have known him better, that's for sure. But I did get to meet him.
Eric Wilson, you have some Stompin' Tom trivia to tell us, don't you?
Yes, good man. I had a chance to be at his home here in, I believe it was in 2011, I believe it was, in January of 2011. It was the greatest thrill of my life to go and visit with him and spent a great day with him. He's a super guy to be with, and looking forward to going to see him again next month, but it's not going to be, so.
No, not going to be, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was it about Tom Connors' music that you liked the best, Eric?
Well, I just liked the beat of his music. It was so great, you know. I mean, he was, and he could sing anybody's songs too. He didn't just necessarily sing his own. He could sing anybody's songs, and they were all done very well.
He said that he memorized over 3,000 different old-time country songs from the 30s, 40s, 50s.
Yeah, I remember talking with him that day we were there, and he was singing some old Hank Snow stuff, and of course it brought some good memories back to me because I have a great collection of Hank Snow's materials too, as well as everybody else's. Wilf Carter and Hank Snow and Stompin' Tom, and just to name a few, Stu Clayton's another one. And they're all great guys, you know, but Tom was one Superman, really.
Yeah. Superman.
Yeah, well,
I never saw him in tights and a cape. I guess he could have.
I'm not saying it, but in that respect, Steve, you understand what I mean.
I understand what you mean.
Okay, son.
Eric Wilson. Leon, should we just play the song of the Irish Moss? Because you come from a community that's very close to Skinner's Pond, where Tom grew up. I mean, well, anything's pretty close.
Everything's close on the island, Steve. Yeah. I can be in Skinner's Pond pretty quick.
That's right. You may not see Jack Duffy, but you'll see just about everybody else on the island, right?
Oh, you mean Mike?
Mike Duffy. Mike Duffy.
Yeah, the elusive senator. Yes.
The elusive senator. But you've taken the trip up to Skinner's Pond.
Oh yes, well, there's I've been all over the island, of course, and I love going up west. And it's been a while though since I've been around there.
Tell us a little bit about what it looks like up around Skinner's Pond area.
Well, there's like a lot of places in PEI. There's not much there, Steve. You're out in the country. Very small town. And my town of Stanley Bridge used to be like that, but it's really grown up to be kind of a resort area.
Because it's near Cavendish.
That's right. Yeah. Other than that, I mean, when I was young, my town was a lot like Skinner's Pond. Not that, just small. Not many families, but...
very rural around a harbor.
Oh, of course,
yeah,
yes.
Yeah. Well, we'll hear all about it now with your version of Stompin' Tom's song of the Irish Moss.
Down in old Prince Edward Island, where the winds are on the blow, and the ocean water's rolling through the reefs and the rocks below, and the Irish moss comes drifting where the white-capped waters roar. With my scoop and my fork and my wagon and my horse, I'll be heading on down the shore. On old Prince Edward Island, where the Irish moss is found, with ropes and bags and baskets, they come from miles around, crashing through the water, being careful not to fall, 'cause one good dash and a heck of a splash, you could lose your overalls. There's horses in the water, and there's horses on the road, and there goes old Russell Alward, and he's hauling up another big load, and the party lines are ringing, and the word keeps passing on. You can hear them roar from the Tigonish shore, there's moss in Skinner's Pond. On old Prince Edward Island, there's one big hullabaloo. The boys and the girls and the old folks, they're gonna make a few bucks too, getting wet to the neck in the ocean, where the waves all turn and toss. But it's free for all, they're having a ball, they're bringing in the Irish moss. Now the moss plant boys are waiting to pay so much a pound. And there goes a guy on horseback, and they both look damn near drowned. But all those smiling faces just mean one thing to me. For every man with a calloused hand, there's a blessing from the sea. There's an islander somewhere's lonesome because he can't be home today. Take a little sip of the moonshine and haul another load away. In the land of the great potato, where the lobster feeds are wild, you can thank the boss for the Irish moss on old Prince Edward Isle. You can thank the boss for the Irish moss on old Prince Edward Isle.
You can thank the boss, Stompin Tom Connors, and we're doing a special tribute to him today until 2 o'clock here on CIUT Radio. Just like to read you some of the things that were said about Tom online. Some of them were addressed to me, like, "Hi, Steve. So sad to hear that Tom has passed away today. And then I was thinking of you. You did introduce me to such great music from Stompin Tom and his songs. He is my favorite. He is always living in our soul forever. His music will never die." And that was from June Izumi, a young woman who I turned on to Stompin Tom. So there you go. Another one. "Hi, Steve. I Sugar Camp searched a perfect tribute to the life of Stompin Tom, Sugar Camp number 51, and have posted it to my store's Facebook page. I'm sorry for the loss of another good friend and comrade. What a great man, Yola Sobolak from Good Catch General Store." That's a couple of people that have paid tribute to Tom. And Eric Wilson's with me, and so is Leon Gallant. And we just heard Leon's song of the Irish Moss, his version of Stompin Tom's song. Eric, you're a big Wilf Carter fan. Should I say no more?
Well, I don't want to go there, really, Steve. But
well, as long as we don't talk about the Strawberry Roan, we're okay.
Right on. I don't want to talk.
Because that'll go on forever.
No.
But was it the fact that Tom was, in the mold of the old-time country artists?
Very much so.
He didn't fit in with the new kind of country.
No. The new country today, well, it's not country. It's country rock, so we don't even talk about that. But Tom reminded me quite a bit about the early days with Wilf Carter and Hank Snow, and it's so much turned me on. I really enjoyed the man's music. It's just great to hear everything that I'm hearing today. I feel so privileged to be here.
You sort of grew up with the music of Hank Snow and Wilf Carter.
Yes, that's true. That's very true.
Yeah.
I remember the early days and the gramophone days when we used to have that at home. And
on 78s.
On old 78s. I still have the 78s, and I still have the gramophone. I still play them on there once in a while, but not too often,
You're more to your CDs now.
Well, yeah, whatever I turn on, it's mostly on CD.
You're a modern man. We want to play a song right now, tribute to Wilf Carter. Do you think that would be appropriate?
That'd be very appropriate.
And then we're going to go into one that Tom will tell. He'll introduce it for us. It's a Luke the Drifter song.
Okay.
These Men with Broken Hearts.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hank Williams. That's Luke the Drifter. These Men with Broken Hearts, which was a song that really was heartfelt by Tom Connors. And
very much so.
He did a good version of it. We're going to hear that now. You're listening to CIUT Radio, special tribute to Stompin Tom.
Hello, friends. This is Stompin Tom Connors, and I'd like to dedicate this song to that old Alberta cowboy himself, Wilf Carter. De-o-de-dee-de-dee, de-o-de-dee-de-dee. In the year 1904, upon a cold December morn, in Port Hilford, Nova Scotia, Wilf Carter, he was born. Went to work for the local farmers at a very tender age, till the bush camps of New Brunswick hired Wilf for a better pay. And Wilf began to yodel-dee-dee in the backwoods of NB, with his yodel-dee-dee, yodel-dee-dee. From the Maritimes to Boston, now the wheat fields of the West, and the plains of old Alberta, they just seemed to suit him best. Punching cows and breaking horses was the life he loved to lead, and you'd always see Wilf Carter at the Calgary Stampede. And Wilf would always yodel-dee-dee on the streets of Calgary with his yodel-dee-dee, yodel-dee-dee. When he sang, he played the guitar, telling stories that were true. For the songs he wrote were always about people that he knew. And he took his compositions down to Montreal by train, where he made his first recording and was on his way to fame. And Wilf began to yodel-dee-dee on the radio CBC with his yodel-dee-dee, yodel-dee-dee. Just a plain and simple cowboy with that old familiar grin. To the USA, Wilf Carter was now Montana Slim. From the hungry hobo jungles to the top recording star. And the people came by thousands when he strummed that old guitar. And Wilf would always yodel-dee-dee in a voice so young and free, with a yodel-dee-dee, yodel-dee-dee. Now the message of my story won't be hard to understand, and I think I speak for every hardcore country music fan. Though the modern record players have replaced the gramophone, I still love to hear Wilf Carter sing and play the cowboy songs. And Wilf can always yodel-dee-dee anytime he wants for me, with his yodel-dee-dee, yodel-dee-dee. Yeah, Wilf can always yodel-dee-dee anytime he wants for me, with his yodel-dee-dee, 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 yodel-dee-dee.
And it's a song that you love a lot, and it was by Luke the Drifter.
Oh.
You sang it the other night.
Oh, well, I know.
Men with Broken Hearts.
These Men with Broken Hearts. That's the classic of all classics to me. That's beautiful.
You'll meet many just like me along life's busy street, with shoulders stooped and heads bowed low and eyes that stare in defeat. We're souls that live within the past, where sorrow plays all parts, where a living death is all that's left for men with broken hearts. You have no right to be the judge, to criticize and condemn. Just think, but for the grace of God, it could be you there instead of him. One careless step or thoughtless deed, and then the misery starts. And to those who weep, death comes cheap for men with broken hearts. Oh, so humble you should be when they come passing by, for it's written that even the greatest of men never get too big to cry. Some lose faith in love and life when sorrow shoots her darts, and with hope all gone, they walk alone, these men with broken hearts. You've never walked in that man's shoes, or saw things through his eyes, or stood and watched with helpless hands while the heart inside you dies. Some were paupers, some were kings, and some were masters of the arts. But in their shame, they're all the same, these men with broken hearts. Life sometimes can be so cruel that a heart will pray for death. God, why must these living dead know pain with every breath? So help your brother along the road, friend, no matter where he starts. For the God that made you, he made them too, these men with broken hearts.
Beautiful, and that was a song that Tom Connors, Stompin' Tom, wrote, or rather recorded. He didn't write it. That was, of course, Hank Williams, on his very, very last album, The Roads of Life, which only came out in August of 2012. And unfortunately, Tom was not well enough to do his last tour that he was hoping to do and promote this album, but go get it. It's one of his best, Stompin' Tom and The Roads of Life on EMI Records. We're talking about Stompin' Tom for till 2 o'clock this afternoon. I got Eric Wilson and Leon Gallant. Do you gentlemen know of T-Bone? You don't know T-Bone? And, well, T-Bone was known, as T-Bone in Ontario, but everywhere else he had a slightly different name, and that was Big John Little.
Oh, yes, I've heard that name.
You've heard that name. Eh? He's from St. John, New Brunswick. He's an 83-year-old performer who looks about 50. Honestly, you wouldn't be able to tell that he's over 50 years old, this guy. And he's 83 years old, and he gave Tom one of his first ever gigs. And he's going to tell it to us right now. You picked up Stompin' Tom hitchhiking on the highway before anybody knew who he was, right?
Yeah, I remember that. It was a hot day.
In Kirkland Lake.
Yeah, I was coming back from Kirkland Lake, and I just had finished Larder Lake, and I picked him up. I seen this guy dragging this. He was about 100 and something in the shade, and he was dragging it. And I picked him up, and I said, "Where are you going, man?" He said, "Oh," he says, "I've eaten 3 days. He says, I haven't had a drink." He says, "I don't know." I said, "Well, I'm going to take you with me." And I said, "I know a hotel. I just finished playing there." And so I took him back there and got him something to drink and something to eat. And the lady says, "Who's this guy?" I said, "Well, it's a friend of mine just come up from Prince Edward Island." She says, "Can he play?" I said, "Oh, yeah, I never heard him play in my life." But I said, "Oh, he can play." And we got him the job there at Larder Lake Hotel. Then I didn't see him for about 20 years afterward.
Well, he told me that you put a $2 bill in his hand, and he never forgot you for that.
And now he's a millionaire.
Yeah.
And then I met him 20 years later, Fredericton, New Brunswick. And I had my camera with me, and I didn't cock it right, sure enough. And I went and took a picture of him, and he laughed at me because it didn't work. He says, "You missed me." You know, Tom, he laughs.
Yeah.
And so I said, I waited everybody. There was about 6,000 people, and they're all laughing at me. So I waited to calm down. And I said, "Well, Tom," I said, "really, I haven't missed you since Larder Lake, Ontario." And they brought it back to me. He's got a memory like an elephant.
Oh, he does.
And he said, "I know that guy. That's Long John." No, he said, "That's Big John Little, ladies and gentlemen." And he started going on about me. I said, "Shh, Tom, shh." I said, "This is your show."
The day I left Kirkland, my girl's head was circling. I left her with only one shoe on. My baby in Larder, she may take it harder, 'cause I've got a new one in Rouen. I've got a new one in Rouen. I'm a honky-tonk player just drifting along. I move like a leaf the wind blew on. I'll love you tonight and I'll hold you so tight. Tomorrow I'll move on to Rouen. Tomorrow I'll move on to Rouen. Tonight if I gamble, tomorrow I'll ramble. I'm a captain that don't take no crew on. Goodbye to my Shirley, she's been a cute girlie, but I've got a new one in Rouen. I've got a new one in Rouen. I'm a honky-tonk player just drifting along. I move like a leaf the wind blew on. I'll love you tonight and I'll hold you so tight. Tomorrow I'll move on to Rouen. Tomorrow I'll move on to Rouen. Now love is a stranger, to some it's a danger. To me it ain't nothing to stew on. I'll play with your curls and I'll call you my girl, but I've got a new one in Rouen. I've got a new one in Rouen. I'm a honky-tonk player just drifting along. I move like a leaf the wind blew on. From Kirkland to Larder, through V-Town and farther, I've just got to move on to Rouen, 'cause I've got a new one in ruin, so I'm gonna move on the Ruin.
You've had an illustrious career, to say the least. I mean, for a person that basically got very little airplay in this country. Do you want to talk about that, about the lack of Canadian airplay on the airwaves?
Well, I guess it speaks for itself. I've often wondered, right from day one, I was told that, well, your music don't fit the format, so we can't play it. We'll have to play it in off hours. Well, I got that answer for 10 years. And then, I started saying, well, wait a minute, what's happening now? So in the 70s, they couldn't play it. In the 80s, they couldn't play it because it didn't fit the format. And it didn't fit the format in the 90s. And it didn't fit the format, here we are in 2011. It still doesn't fit the format. So I'm wondering when they're going to change the format.
Yeah, exactly. How did you become so popular? How did you sell so many records if you weren't getting any airplay?
Well, first I got to say the songs themselves, I guess. If the people don't like the songs and they don't relate, well, you're going to be amongst the forgotten. But, started in the bars and then doing concert work here and there and selling records and stuff. And so people, when they bought the records, they'd, instead of hearing other people, could hear them on the radio, they were passing records around and having parties, and they'd put on a Stompin Tom record, and somebody'd say, hey, I like that. And so then they'd go out and buy the record, and so I've had a record career that has spanned, right through until the present day. And, EMI Canada, which used to be Capital, I've been with them now since 89, and they're not complaining about record sales, so I've had a steady career with them since then. And, well, as I can say, it's the Canadian listener to country music. I owe my entire career to them, not to, radio. And so, I guess that's it in a nutshell. I wish they'd play more Canadian, and, really, if it's me they don't like, I don't care if they play me or not, but when I turn on my radio to country stations, I want to hear songs about my country. That's what country music is about. And I want to hear songs that tell me what people are doing from time to time, and, if there's tragedies, I want to hear about them in song. If there's something comical that happens, or what people are doing. This continuous diet of I love you, you love me, and you don't love me anymore, on and on and on and on.
Never ends.
Right, and it never ends. So, if that's what country music has come down to, then it's not country music anymore.
I was born in old St. John, New Brunswick by the sea. Back in 1936, it was just my mom and me. And as she wandered through the land, shunned by family, she often had to beg for bread while I was only 3. She taught me to hitchhike and to face the road alone, and sing about what life was like for those that had no home. Holy, holy, holy. Well, I turned 4 in Halifax, 5 in Montreal. In every small town in between, by 6 I knew them all. And when the long road took us back to St. John, Mama cried. That night the strong arm of the law tore me from her side. And they made me an orphan and taught me not to roam, just cry myself to sleep at night and not be a rolling stone. Holy, holy, holy. By the time that I turned 8, they said that I was cured from all that wanderlust to which I had been lured. And just in case my mum would try to find out where I'd gone, they shipped me off to PEI to a farm in Skinner's Pond. And though I love the country, I called this island home. I'd sing about what life was like with a mother's love unknown. Believe, believe, believe. When I was 13 years of age, I couldn't take no more. I ran away from home one day and left my island shore. Now while the Mounties everywhere were looking for their men, on a merchant ship from old St. John I sailed for Newfoundland. And away out on the Grand Banks the truth came like a knife. A drifter I would always be upon the roads of life. Believe, believe, believe. Before the age of 17 I seen this country wide. An old guitar I'd gladly play, and I'd thank you for the ride. And many a conversations had through my journey long, they wound up in my repertoire of Canadian country songs. And everywhere I traveled, I dreamed along the way, God might make this vagabond a country star someday. Believe, believe, believe. Then one night in Timmins Town, North Ontario, they said if you can sing we'll keep you round for a week or so. I packed the place for 14 months and before they let me go, I'm driving a car, I got a new guitar and I'm singing on the radio. From there this old hitchhiker, he was on his road to fame, with Bud the Spud from the bright red mud and the good old hockey game. Believe, believe, believe. Then came Sudbury Saturday night at the Gumboot Cloggeroo. They made me the chairman of the board till I stomped the hole right through. And like old Luke with his old guitar, my song wasn't over yet, till I sang the ode that I wrote for the road and the mum that I can't forget. And when the party was over, I began to write this song, and tonight you've heard me sing the words to the ballad of Stompin' Tom. Tonight you've heard me sing the words to the ballad of Stompin' Tom. Odelie, odelie, odelie.
Special on Stompin' Tom Connors today here on CIUT, and that's the ballad of Stompin' Tom, one of his more recent compositions, and that basically tells it like it is. Well, I have Bob LeDrew next. He wrote, I think it's pretty obvious that the song Stompin' Tom Connors wrote are dramatically different from many of the other people we would set high standards in the folk pantheon for, like Lynn Miles, Stan Rogers, Ian Tamlin, Garnet Rogers, and Bruce Cockburn. Even people like, say, John Prine, who writes songs that are often simple in melody, in chords, in time signature, are obviously different from someone like Stompin' Tom Connors. In my head, I put him almost at the top of the rank of, I don't know if there's even a term for it, really. I thought folk poet might work, and that was Bob LeDrew. Another one was my first sense of Canadiana and any concept of national pride came to me from two sources. One was a comment by Lester B. Pearson on CBC News, and the other was my first Stompin' Tom album purchased sometime in the mid to late 60s. I heard the speech once, but played Stompin' Tom's music for years. That was Brian Gladstone of the Winter Folk Festival. And how you guys doing there? Got Tom. I've got I've got Stompin' Tom on my brain here, and Tom Gallant. I almost said it's Leon Gallant. Tom Gallant actually played with Stompin' Tom.
Was Tom Gallant too. So
and he just passed away.
That's right.
Yeah, it's Tom Gallant. So Leon Gallant and Eric Wilson are my guests here in the studio. A song like that, Eric, what memories does it bring back for you? The style that he sang that in.
Well, I think he was thinking of an era that was way gone by, and it brings me back to the days that I think like Wilf Carter come from hard times too, and I just think that it's one of the best things that he could ever done or wrote a song about his own lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And I really enjoy that. I really enjoy a lot of all of his music. I've enjoyed every bit of it as far as that goes. I first saw Tom live in Peterborough at the Memorial Gardens about 20 years ago. And I had the privilege of being back there last Wednesday night. And I really don't want to talk anymore about it because I'm starting to lose my voice.
What do you think of the Memorial, Leon? You were there.
You were there, yes. You were there.
Yes, it was great. And as I mentioned earlier, I just happened to be in town. And if I wouldn't have been in town, I would have been driving up from the island, and probably would have been a truckload wanting to come with me for sure.
Yeah.
Now it was fantastic. I mean, it's the buzz and the mood in the room. I know I talked to a lot of people who watched it on TV, and how much they enjoyed it on TV. But to be in the room was in that stadium was quite a different feeling, I would say. And I did see some of it on TV afterwards, but being in the room was the place to be. That's for sure.
Yeah, it was a lot better in the room. I mean, just when they brought the casket out with the Mounties and talk about class acts.
Yes.
The whole thing was class from start to finish, really.
That's right, and I would say Brian Edwards was the man there who done a lot of work to make that happen.
He pulled that all together.
In the city of Peterborough as well, and everybody involved. It was, you're in the room, you can always say one thing, you're in that room, and that's something I'll have to say many years from now. I was there, and as I said, if I wouldn't have been in the town, I would have been driving up. So one way or another, I was going to be in that room.
People don't realize sometimes just how big a star he was.
Well, I think you're exactly right, and unfortunately, a lot of them are finding out now, and you're probably going to see all his memorabilia and albums probably sell more than ever. But, sometimes that's the way it is, But yeah, I believe people are just realizing now. I mean, the guy was huge.
Yeah. One of his St. John songs. This is Maggie, my life, my life, my wife. The same thing, really.
Ain't that the truth?
Slip of the tongue works for me in my favor. Okay, I'm going to play her favorite song, the St. John Blues.
Way up in King Square, where the fountain flows, I gave my ring there to the St. John Rose. But all the love I gave, she did refuse. And now I'm sitting here with the St. John Blues. Way up in King Square, in old St. John, I'm feeding pigeons here upon the lawn. And while I'm sitting here, some pigeon coos. You're not the only one with the St. John Blues. Way down on Charlotte Street, I used to fly until my little dove, she said goodbye. Now I'm lonely and I'm just like you. I've got them old St. John Blues. Way up in King Square, where the fountain flows, I gave my ring there to the St. John Rose. But all the love I gave, she did refuse. And now I'm sitting here with the St. John Blues. Way up in King Square, in old St. John, I'm feeding pigeons here upon the lawn. And while I'm sitting here, some pigeon coos. You're not the only one with the St. John Blues. Way down on Charlotte Street, I used to fly until my little dove, she said goodbye. Now I'm lonely and just like you, I've got them old St. John blues. Way down on Charlotte Street, I used to fly until my little dove, she said goodbye. And now I'm lonely, just like you, I've got them old St. John blues. Lena Kathleen, Lena Kathleen, light of my love, queen of my dreams. Lena Kathleen, no moon have I seen that could hold a beam to my Lena Kathleen. I've traveled the ocean, the world I have seen, with mountains and valleys and beautiful streams, but there was no beauty compared to my dreams of old Entry Island and Lena Kathleen. Lena Kathleen, Lena Kathleen, light of my love, queen of my dreams. Lena Kathleen, no moon have I seen that could hold a beam to my Lena Kathleen. And now as I ramble far over the sea, to all the fair cities, I take her with me, for there is no beauty compared to my dreams of old Entry Island and Lena Kathleen. Lena Kathleen, Lena Kathleen, light of my love, queen of my dreams. Lena Kathleen, no moon have I seen that could hold a beam to my Lena Kathleen, queen of my dreams, my Lena Kathleen, Lena Kathleen.
That's Lena Kathleen, Kathleen Walsh. That's Lena Connors these days, and a beautiful song that Tom wrote for her, his wife and partner for so many years. And yeah, feel for her. Anyways, we're doing a 2-hour special to Stompin Tom Connors, and Greg Lawless wrote, he said, Stompin Tom was the first of our songwriters who wore Canada on his sleeve. He blazed the trail for us as the original indie Canadian artist. And then, Holmes Hook wrote me a nice email. Hello, Steve. I'm really sorry to hear about the passing of your old buddy. I was introduced to the music of Stompin Tom the first night I arrived in this country when my brother took me to the Cloverdale Hotel on the Browns line. That was 1971, and I've been a fan ever since. It's hard to imagine Canada without him. That's Holmes Hook. We're going to listen to a little bit of Tom talking about Porcupine Awards.
Thank your organization here for, I understand that you've awarded me with the Porcupine.
Yeah, man.
Golden Porcupine Award.
You got the Golden Porcupine, you and Ned Landry. You're cousins, right?
Yeah, second cousins, yeah.
From St. John's.
Yeah.
Or St. John, I mean.
And, thanks very much for that. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, whether they're big awards, little awards, or whatever they are, it's in the spirit in which they're given. And, you had referred a little earlier about the Juno Awards. Well, that was something else. And if I felt anything about any other award that was given under the circumstances that in the way in which they were given at the time, I'm not going to comment on how they're given today or any other awards at the moment, but it's the spirit in which they're given and the meaning that is behind it. And to me, that's what I take into consideration when somebody sees that I may be deserving or something like that. The East Coast Music Awards, they give out awards too. But I get the newspaper clipping service, and right now, I think probably anybody will tell you on the East Coast that there's a Stompin Tom Award that they give out down there now. That's right, yeah. It's never showed on camera, but when I hear that people are receiving that and their families and everything, it's very, very touching. It's one of the most touching things that I've read.
Can we clarify that award too a bit, because that award's given to people that are like the unsung heroes, right?
That's right. Yeah. And while everybody today, once they start a musical award system, naturally they're just giving awards away to people of today who win them, who get the most airplay or whatever it may be. But these people, it's for the unsung heroes. In other words, those who inspired these young people in years gone by without any hope of ever receiving an award or anything like that, and made very little money doing it, dedicated their lives to composing and entertaining people and inspiring a lot of people. And so that's what the Stompin Tom Award is for on the East Coast, and it's turned out to be a real wonderful thing. It's a heartwarming thing for people who never thought they could, ever get anything or be entitled to anything, to receive something like this.
Definitely the nature of the Porcupines.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. And congratulations. You're certainly a well-deserved... I mean, you are one of my heroes, definitely. And I must say that I owe so much to you and your music, and so do so many Canadians, Tom, and thank you so much.
Well, I certainly want to wish you well with your program and anything you do, Steve, and I want to thank your listeners, not only on your behalf but on mine, for listening in and being faithful to Steve Fruitman and his program and the whole thing, because your heart's certainly in the right place on this kind of work you're doing. And so thanks to everybody, and have a Merry Christmas to all.
Stompin Tom Connors a few years ago on my program. And Ozzie Branscombe was a guy that ran the country music store on the Danforth, which was an institution. It wasn't just a record store. It was a hangout. He had Saturday afternoon jam sessions there. He couldn't sell any records hardly because the place was so packed with people jamming and listening to live music. He had a good time, and he was a big Stompin Tom fan as well. How are you doing, Ozzie?
I'm doing fine, Steve.
Yeah. And you had Tom in your store one day, right?
He came in the store, yes, I believe in the late 90s. Joe King was with me. Joe was the original one that came up with the idea for opening the store, and he was about to leave, and we looked out and seen four people in the middle of the road coming across, and it was Tom and Lena and another couple. So he came in to the store, and I was there for a couple hours. Lena had a list of music that I was selling, a lot of the Celtic music and the folk music from the East Coast, and I didn't know it, but she had one of my lists, and she came in and was looking for stuff, so they spent a couple hours there, I think.
You told me the story of a young guy that was in the store looking for records when Tom came into the store. Want to tell us about that?
Yeah, there was a young fellow there, and he started asking me about Stompin' Tom. Of course, I didn't know. Tom doesn't always like people to make a big deal of him in public like that. I mean, just the way. So we started. I started telling him about what he wanted to know. He was asking me about his new albums and different things, and then so I think he bought a couple, and so Tom said, "Well, he's here. You might as well get his autograph." So and the guy said, "Oh, I thought that was you." I didn't want to say it. I thought that was you. And my dad and I used to listen to you on the radio and stuff. So anyway, made the guy's day. And it was a great afternoon, actually. And he, yes, I never actually, we talked about getting together, but I never actually, I did see him again. I seen him at the thing you had at Hughes Room, that's right.
Yeah, the tribute show.
Him and Lena were at the back, and Lois and I went back and spoke to them and stuff, yeah. And I've seen him in, actually was fortunate enough to go to the last concert he did on the last tour, not knowing it at the time.
That was Kingsville, was it?
In Kingsville, Ontario, which was right next door to Leamington. It was a great concert in the Migration Hall, and it's a great one to remember him by. But we stayed, of course, Leamington and Kingsville are almost one place, and we stayed in Leamington. And when you're in that area and you drive around, you see all these hot houses, with tomatoes. Well, Tom already told us about that, didn't he?
Yeah, and ketchup song.
And you have these words going through your mind when there was this guy from PEI that used to call potato, and he fell in love with this Leamington, Ontario tomato. And then in his words, they had 3 kids, 2 spuds and 1 tomato. And then at the end of the song, he tells you if you have a plate of French fries, you got to load it up with ketchup because ketchup loves potatoes. And if you never had done that before, Steve, put ketchup on your potatoes, you'd be apt to run out to the store to buy a bottle of it. But he had a way of painting a picture, putting words together, sometimes with simple words and catchy melodies. Sometimes he used a slang word like dang, but it all worked. It was very effective, and it made a lasting impression on your senses. For instance, I've been through Sudbury, but I've never spent a Saturday night there, but it seems like I have, And he's, even the area that I'm from, he taught us stuff about Canada.
Well, you're from Moncton area.
Yeah, I lived in Moncton for 20 years, which is a hop, skip, and a jump from Prince Edward Island. But I never knew about the Irish moss thing, how they went out with the wagons and collected that. And I was speaking about it to a friend of mine about a week ago, who's from Bay St. Anne, New Brunswick, which is about 70 miles north of Moncton, a little fishing village, and they used to do it there. But I never knew that. But Tom knew that.
And he taught it to all Canada.
And Tom spent time in Sudbury, and he knew about the Leamington tomatoes, and also I've never been to Tillsonburg, but I know that it's a hard job, and Tom did it, and I'm glad I didn't have to do that. It probably wouldn't have lasted a day, but he was very graphic in his descriptions.
Yeah.
So he knew, he researched things, and a lot of the stuff he wrote about, he worked at those jobs. The coal boat song.
Yeah.
I assume that was the the boat that he's talking about when he's
Yeah.
heading to Newfoundland.
Of course.
St. John's, yeah.
Well, Ozzy, thanks a lot for this. And you made a request for a song from your neck of the woods in New Brunswick, and that was the Book Tush song.
Yeah.
You wanted to hear that, right?
Well, you know, Bactouche is where Casey Irvin started out. And if you were, the time frame of that song was maybe written for like 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. So if you were working in the woods around there at that time, you were either maybe working for the Irvins or selling lumber to their mill. His dad started out with a mill, I think. And then they had a
well,
store
nothing
and
has changed, obviously.
yeah, and a lot of people down there supplemented their income in the wintertime, fishermen and farmers, with working in the woods. If you had a wood lot, you got someone to cut it off, and they'd put them in cords and put them alongside the road, and a big truck would come and haul them away. And so anyway, that song is about that. Also, they have sugar woods around Bactouche, so he could have been working in the sugar bush, too.
Well, we're going to hear that song. Now, thanks a lot, Ozzy.
Okay, thank
Ozzy
you,
Branscombe.
Steve. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you.
I had a gal in Tittamookoosh, tell her old man, give me the push. He said there's jobs in New Brunswick, Bob, working in the bush of Bactouche. Working in the bush of Bactouche. Working in the bush of Bactouche. I said goodbye to Tittamookoosh, working in the bush of Bactouche. Do 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 do. My gal in Tittamookoosh, she didn't want to give me the push. She messed with Bob, she got herself a job working in the bush of Bactouche. Working in the bush of Bactouche. Working in the bush of Bactouche. She said goodbye to Tittamookoosh. She's working in the bush of Bactouche. Do 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 do. Now my gal in Tittamookoosh, she didn't have to give me a push. She married a Bob right here on the job, working in the bush of Bactouche. Working in the bush of Bactouche. Working in the bush of Bactouche. I married a gal from Tittamookoosh, working in the bush of Bactouche. Do 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 do. Well, I come from Tittamookoosh, and it didn't take much of a push. I got a house and a job and a son called Bob, working in the bush of Bactouche. Working in the bush of Bactouche. Working in the bush of Bactouche. I'm a long way now from Tittamookoosh, working in the bush of Bactouche. Working in the bush of Bactouche. Working in the bush of Bactouche. I'm a long way now from Tittamookoosh, working in the bush of Bactouche. Do 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 do.
Tribute to Stompin Tom here on CIT this afternoon, and we're doing it until 2 o'clock, so stay tuned for more. Stompin Tom here. Got a little letter from Jay Amar, a singer-songwriter, originally from Sault Ste. Marie, that says, "Hey, Steve, there's not too many people I feel like having a beer with right now. I just played an entire set of Stompin' Tom songs last week at a show. I did it because of one woman who randomly stated that she just finished bringing up her son home from a hockey game, and she picked up her girlfriend and came to the show and asked if she can hear Stompin' Tom's Hockey Mom song. My band, who are much younger than me, picked up on the song immediately. Why? I asked them. They said, of course we know Stompin' Tom. No radio play, that doesn't matter. These songs will be performed and sung along for many years to come. Around campfires, between friends, taught in history classes. Thanks, Tom." Another person that you well know is Valdi. Stompin' Tom, You did what we all strive to do, to tell Canada about itself, to help us swell with confidence and blush with familiarity. Thanks for the tunes and the role model. Dave Gunning had played in Stompin' Tom's band for one tour back in 2003, and at the recent Folk Alliance conference, I asked him about it.
You toured with Stompin' Tom, I understand.
Yeah, 2002, I played upright bass for him. And J.P. Cormier, actually my first Cross Canada tour was in 1997 as J.P. Cormier's bass player. And Tom was looking for somebody to replace his guy that was unable to do the tour.
Yeah, Mr. Hadley had to teach school that year, yes.
Yes. So JP recommended me, and it was quite an experience.
So every 5 nights?
Well, yeah, actually, on the contract that, they sent you, it was like you have to stay up. At least 1 or 2 people had to stay up with Tom till 5 o'clock in the morning to drink with him. It was right on the contract.
It's true. This is not folklore.
Yeah,
it's true. Did you learn anything from touring with him about performing or anything like that?
I guess I sort of felt somehow that he rewired my brain or something, because Tom's a survivor, and he sort of did it the hard way and slugged it out in the stories that he has, and he just, at nighttime, would want to sit and talk, and he's extremely smart. And I had a blast with him, and it sort of, he treated us really good. The whole thing was a bizarre experience. It almost felt like I'd been on the road with him for years, but it also flew by, and 7 weeks, I guess, yeah. My alcohol tolerance level went up, and I gained some weight. My mom said, "You look great. It looks like you've been eating really well on the road. Yeah, eating moose heads."
Yeah.
Come on, boys, drink with me.
Oh, we sailed away at the break of day to pull traps in oilskin trousers on the Susie Jack. But tonight we're back with the cows and pounds of lobsters. Oh, Shanty Town, we're gonna tear you down. I got me money coming out of me stockings. Da-da-da-do, the bushwhack Sioux, take her to the gumboot ball-the-woo and the little gumboot ballin'. Do a little gumboot ballin'. Give me fishing rules and a quahog stew and a bowl of clam chowder. See me reach for that new piece screech when it eaters up the fiddle ding louder. Hear the French girl singing, the guitars are ringing, the squeeze box squeaking, squawking. Me and my Sue gonna whoop-de-doo, take her to the gumboot ball-the-woo and the little gumboot ballin'. Do a little gumboot ballin'. And the girls some way down Crackety. How many blue nosers and heron chokers we just don't know exactly. Pack them all in tight and dance all night. Get the old barn floor just a rockin'. Buy a ring-dang-doo for P.I. Sue. Take her to the gumboot ball-the-roo and baloo little gumboot ballin'. Do little gumboot ballin'. Give me fishing blues and a quahog stew and a bowl of clam chowder. See me reach for that newbie screech when it eaters up the fiddle ding louder. Hear the French girl singing, the guitars ringing, the squeeze box squeaky squawking. Me and my Sue gonna whoop-de-doo, take her to the gumboot ball-the-roo and the little gumboot ballin'. Little gumboot ballin'. Oh, we sailed away at the break of day to pull traps in oilskin trousers on the Susie Jack. But tonight we're back with the cows and pounds of lobsters. Oh, Shanty Town, we're gonna tear you down. I got me money coming out of me stockings. Da-da-da-do, the bushwhack Sioux, take her to the gumboot ball-the-roo and the little gumboot ballin'. Do little gumboot ballin'. Take her to the gumboot ball-the-roo and the little gumboot ballin'. Do little gumboot ballin'. Do little gumboot
Stompin Tom Connors tribute here at CIUT. And Catherine McEwen had written a nice piece in an email. She said, Tom toured every part of Canada and wrote and sang all he could about Canadian people and traditions. Simple tunes and lyrics that common folk could easily learn and sing along. Money didn't matter, so he worked wherever he could, just to make a living from town to town, to play small beer joints and community halls. Just wanted to get his songs out there. He had stories to tell, only played in Canada, eh? Yeah. Linda Grenier. Tom's book, Before the Fame, was hard to put down. He paid his dues. He came upon his songs honestly. I loved his sense of humor and thought he was a great Canadian character. Tom was also the 13th on the list of great Canadians. Remember the CBC did that a few years ago, the Great Canadian Contest, and he beat out every single Canadian performer. I mean, I know John Cherry got in the top 10, but that was I don't know how that happened. But, you know, as far as singers, he was the top one. He beat Shania Twain, Celine Dion, all of the people. I think even Justin Bieber would have came behind Stompin' Tom. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. I've kind of forgot, but you brought it up. That's good.
13th famous Canadian. I got Leon Gallant in there, and I got Eric Wilson, and we're just reminiscing about Stompin' Tom, and I'm going to have his bass player Tim Hadley on the air really soon. But first,
come on, you mucking slushers, you jackleg drillers and blasters. The price of uranium is up, and there's money to make. Come on, you big rock boulders who answer to the name of miner. This old boom town is still around on the shores of Elliott Lake. Time cards in and out, up and down cages, gonna make a heaven out of hell-earned wages. Come on, quirky, pay me now. I got 18 holes a-going pow, 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 and there ain't no music finer. She's a damn good song for a miner. A damn good song for a miner. When it's daylight on the town site and midnight away down under, I can hear the shift boss say she's a mucking out well. With hard hats, boots, and oilers, we're off to scale the Stope boys. Goodbye town, we're a-going down to the belly of a man-made hell. Time cards in and out, up and down cages, gonna make a heaven out of hell-earned wages. Come on, quirky, pay me now. I got 18 holes a-going pow, 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 and there ain't no music finer. She's a damn good song for a miner. A damn good song for a miner. In the afternoon we'll cage up to the surface and home to supper, but we'll all meet at the Algoden later tonight, where the wine and the beer and the singing kinda gets a good miner swinging. And we'll dance around this whole damn town till the sun comes shining bright. Time cards in and out, up and down cages, gonna make a heaven out of hell-earned wages. Come on, quirky, pay me now. I got 18 holes a-going pow, 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 and there ain't no music finer. She's a damn good song for a miner. A damn good song for a miner. Come on, you mucking slushers, you jackleg drillers and blasters. The price of uranium is up and there's money to make. Come on, you big rock boulders who answer to the name of miner. This old boom town is still around on the shores of Elliott Lake. Time cards in and out, up and down cages, gonna make a heaven out of hell-earned wages. Come on, quirky, pay me now. I got 18 holes a-going pow, 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 and there ain't no music finer. She's a damn good song for a miner. A damn good song for a miner. One hell of a song for a miner.
Yeah, I love that. It's one of my favorite Stompin' Tom songs, the Muckin' Slushers, damn fine song for a miner. Tim Hadley's on the line with us. How you doing, Tim?
You know, that's one of my favorite songs too, Steve.
It is?
Oh, absolutely.
More than the Zakuska Polka?
I think so. You know, I played with Tom for almost 13 years, and all he'd have to do is come on stage, and if he just started that song, he'd say the first word, and you could just see the crowd would go crazy.
Yeah. It sort of made me crazy when I first heard it live in Matheson, Ontario. And I can well understand how crowds would have gone. What was it like playing with him? Because you played all across the country numerous times for about 12 years.
Oh yeah, I think I think it would have been 13 years on the 1st of April since I first started working with him. So just pretty close to there, and it was an electrifying experience. It was just the greatest opportunity a musician could have. Like you say, I got to go back and forth across Canada about probably 7 times maybe, and play in all these fantastic venues and to crowds that really loved Tom, and they really loved music and having a good time, and it was just I can't even describe how fantastic that was.
Well, you used to play with the Cajun Ramblers, Black Flies, Grievous Angels, numerous other bands. How was this different?
Well, it was funny because it was really my country music education when I went to play with Tom, and I think he was a little bemused because the band that I played in, the Grievous Angels, we used to play a lot of Tom's songs, but we all came out of the 70s. We were all punk rockers.
You were punks, I know.
And when we say to Tom, like, we're punk rockers. I think punk for us meant something totally different than what it meant for Tom, and it took him a little while to get used to the idea that these sort of radical young people were playing, but I guess now all the punks are in their 50s and stuff like that, so it's not as
Charlie Angus, Dave Bedini, all these guys are in their 50s now.
It's unbelievable, isn't it, Andrew?
Yeah, sure is. But at the time, you guys were the younger generation that was getting into Stompin' Tom in a big way.
Absolutely. And when I first went to play with Charlie Angus and the Grievous Angels, I went to a rehearsal. I got a call from my friend Peter Gillard, and he said, we have this band going. Would you like to come and, we need some stand-up bass? And I said, well, sure, I'd love to. And I went down and played, and we ran through all these songs, Sudbury Saturday Night, Bud the Spud, and I thought they were just warming up or something. And they said, no, we're going to go down to Queen Street, and we're going to play these songs for our crowd or whatever. And I thought he was joking. I said, there's no way we can go down and play those songs. I really like them, but I don't know how they're going to go over with the young people. And they went over fantastic. It was incredible. Those were the songs that got the best response. The audience just seemed to instinctively know those songs and love them and feel very close to them. So, it was a good opportunity for me to just see it in those days, 1988, 1989, before Tom had even done his comeback. People were just waiting to hear those songs again.
Talking with Tim Hadley, Tom's last bass player in his band, and from originally from Plainsfield. No, you're from Corbyville now, but that's why we used to like to say it, Plainsfield.
He certainly, Tom, he used to like to tease me on stage.
Well, you got to do the washroom routine once, and I hadn't seen the washroom routine since the early '70s. I hadn't seen that.
I felt really bad taking Gary Empey's part, because
it's basically you have to go to the washroom in the middle of a song or something, in the middle of a set.
That's right.
That's all. It's just Tom able to tease you, basically.
Yes.
Yeah. At the crowd's expense.
That's right.
Okay, so we have to talk a bit about how you got this gig with Tom. I was involved in it, I know, but let's hear your story. It was April Fool's Day, anyways.
It was April Fool's Day, and at that point, I had retired from the music business. I was not going to play anymore. I was in teachers' college at the time. I was going to get a job as a teacher. Music wasn't really paying the bills anymore, and I had a small child at home and stuff, and I was just finishing up my year at teachers college when I got a phone call from you, and you didn't even tell me what it was at first. It was like, hey, you want to go out on tour this summer? And I'd played in a band with you for a long time, and I thought maybe you'd put a new band together. You wanted to go out on the road or something, and you said, oh yeah, you'll be gone for 7 weeks and you'll make all this money and everything like that. And I just, I didn't actually believe it at the time. No, it's not for you. It's for Stompin' Tom. And I'd love to do that. And I had to check with my wife at the time, and she came home, and I said, "Hey, I just got an offer from Steve Fruitman. He wants me to go and tour with Stompin Tom Connors." And she said, "Oh well, that's probably just Steve having a little joke at your expense
on April Fool's Day.
It's April Fool's today. You should call him back and tell him not to pull your leg." But the next thing I heard, it was actually Tom himself had called me up, and I said, I'd love to play with you. Do you want me to come and audition for you? And what he actually said was, well, Timmy, I'm going in the studio on Wednesday night, so be at my house at 6:00. So my audition was actually going down, and we didn't even run over the song. He played it for us, and we went into the studio about an hour later, and we were up till about 5:00 recording it, and we went on the road just shortly after that.
That was the Erica Nordby song.
Yes, that's right. That was the first song that I recorded.
Tim, thanks ever so much for sharing your thoughts of Stompin Tom Connors with us.
Yeah, well, just I know you said that Lena's listening to the show today, and my thoughts go out to her and Tom Jr. and to all the Stompin Tom fans, the people that he touched in Canada. I know he meant a lot to me, and just in the past week and a half, 2 weeks, I've really seen what he's meant to everybody else in Canada, and it's just I'm sure he would be very humbled and proud that there's so much love out there for him.
Mm-hmm. We're going to go with your favorites. Well, one of your favorite Stompin Tom songs. You must have a lot of favorite Stompin Tom songs.
Well, I really like Tom just sitting down playing his guitar, and over the years I've got a chance to see just him and his guitar, and I really like his first 2 albums that he did where it was just him and his guitar. And I'll always remember of the time that we would always stop in Kakabeka Falls. We'd always stay at the Wawa Motor Inn when we were driving out west, and I loved the job that J.P. Cormier and Dave Gunning did of this song when they played at the tribute on Wednesday night. So I'd really love to hear Little Wawa.
Little Wawa, little Wawa, little Wawa was a wild goose who from the Southland flew in a V-shaped flock of wild geese with her lover Gander Goo, her lover Gander Goo. They flew across North Michigan to see the sights below, 'cause they were on their honeymoon to North Ontario, to North Ontario. Honk, honk, said little Wawa, honk, honk, my Gander Goo. In goose talk that means I love you, and I always will be true, I always will be true. Little Wawa, little Wawa. The night was fast approaching, a dreadful hissing sound. 'Twas an arrow from an Indian bow, and Gander Goo shot down, Gander Goo fell down. The wild geese kept on flying, but Wawa would not go. She stayed to find her lover in the bushland far below, in the bushland far below. Honk, honk, said little Wawa, honk, honk, my Gander Goo. In goose talk that means I love you, and I always will be true, I always will be true. Little Wawa, little Wawa. A goose that died of heartbreak, a legend she became, but now she'll live forever in a town that bears her name, a town that bears her name. If you should see her statue on Highway 17, you'll know that you're in Wawa, and her love song you will sing, her love song you will sing. Honk, honk, said little Wawa, honk, honk, my Gander Goo. In goose talk that means I love you, and I always will be true, I always will be true. Little Wawa, little Wawa, little
Wawa. Sometimes that song brings a tear to my eye. Such a sad song, Little Wawa.
Very much so.
Great song.
Yeah. You heard some really good songs today, haven't you guys?
Great selection.
Yeah.
Great
I'm going to
selections.
talk to Tim Husson a little bit at a time. He's just almost home, and instead of speaking to him over a cell phone, I thought we'd get his landline. You know, it's a lot better that way. And so we're doing a Stompin' Tom tribute this day, and we're almost done. We got about 17 or 18 minutes, and I want to get Tim Huss. Tim Huss is sort of like the guy that Tom passed the torch to. He went on the last 2 tours with Stompin' Tom. He was a Canadian singer-songwriter in his own right, doing really well out in Western Canada, but nobody knew him down east.
No, not really.
Now, you got to see him perform with Tom, right?
Yes, yeah, and I got to see Tim perform too, and actually done a show with Tim, done a little opening act for him on PEI, and it's unfortunate he came through the island and a lot of the East Coast, and he's still got some inroads to go there, but fantastic, you know, writing the songs about Canada. Tom passed the torch to a good guy.
Yeah,
good guy.
And every stop on the tour, he would say, "I'm passing the torch to guys like Tim Huss."
Yeah, well, he picked a good one there. He's doing a great job.
Well, he always supported Canadian talent, and he always wanted a lot of different regions of the country represented in his band. And in most of his bands, there was usually a guy from PEI.
Mostly in most bands.
So Billy McInnes was the guy in the last band.
Yes, yeah.
You know, and he played a sparkling tribute to Stompin' Tom at the Memorial last Wednesday night.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, it was. Eric Wilson, one of your heroes again is Wilf Carter, and he was Tom's hero as well. And I just like to play a little bit of yodeling of Tom's to set us up for Tim Huss.
Okay.
You think that's a smart idea?
You're going to play that song about Take Me Back to Old Alberta?
I love the dear old ranges, I love the prairie trail, to watch the cattle grazing and hear the coyotes wail, swinging in the saddle just before the break of morn. Take me back to old Alberta, the place where I was born. I didn't know I could do it either until I tried it. I hear the bacon frying, sizzling in the pan. Coffee is a-steaming in a big 10-gallon can. Breakfast is already good enough for any man. Take me back to old Alberta, the place where I was born. Here's how Wolf went out west and taught all the cowboys how to do it.
Right on. Stompin' Tom Connors in Hamilton, Ontario, about 2005. And there's old Wolf Carter there. Great stuff. Tim Huss is with us on the phone. Where are you right now, Tim?
I'm in Calgary.
You're in Calgary, so you're basically home.
I am, yeah. For a very brief moment, I guess I am, yeah.
You were, as I was setting this up before, I was mentioning on air that Tom had passed the torch to guys like you. And you were out with him on his last couple of tours. What was that like when he would say things like that? I'm passing the torch to this guy, Tim Huss.
Oh, well, I mean, I guess I call it flattering would be the biggest understatement. You know, I mean, it was an absolute honor, of course, and but we all know there's only only one Stompin' Tom, of course. But I do think he did something very important. He kind of gave us another option for young musicians. He kind of took a nation that was playing second fiddle to the States, and he sort of showed, I would say, all young musicians really that there's another option. And he didn't tell anybody you had to do it his way, but he kind of showed us all that it could be done. You know, you can make a living and a career, and even become an icon, writing songs about places like Tillsonburg and Sudbury and Timmins.
Yep. And so you started listening to Stompin' Tom when you were quite young. Your dad was a Stompin' Tom fan.
Yeah, I've always liked kind of the country storytelling type of songs. You know, I liked Ramblin' Jack Elliott and Johnny Cash and all these kind of guys. But Tom, I had a particular liking for Tom because, of course, he was singing some local songs about places that I had been to, and it really kind of brought it into my world, and I just loved that, and I'm sure that he's had that impact on many Canadians.
I remember getting an email from you. I guess it would have been probably around 2008, and you said, "How do I get a hold of Stompin' Tom?" by email, right? You wanted to record the Hockey Mom song, and you were hoping that he would do a duet with you. And I said at the time, not bloody likely. I don't think he'll do it, you know. But here's the email address. And a couple of months later, I went up to his place up in Halton Hills, and he says to me, "Steve, who's this guy Tim Huss?" And I said, I've played him on my show lots of times. You heard him. "Yeah, I know. I got his album here, and I think he's pretty darn good, so I'm going to bring him on tour with me next year." And that's sort of my side of the story. What was your side of the story? How did it evolve on your side?
Well, yeah, I mean, I had been a big fan, and early on, I had actually written a song about Tom with no real, just because I liked him, actually. I mean, it was before I had even made an album or anything like that. I was more or less still just learning to play the guitar and just.
That was the man with the big black hat?
That's right, the man with the black hat there. And so I wrote that, and we recorded it in whatever it was, on a buddy's tape recorder or whatever. And I wrote him a nice letter and sent the song out to him. I just basically said, just telling him like, hey, I'm a big fan, and thanks for all you've done. And here's a song I wrote about you, basically. And he wrote me a real nice letter back, and encouraged me to keep going on, and told me how it's important for, he felt it was important for, I think, what did he said, Canada needs singers like you, or something like that, I remember. And he wrote me a nice letter and a sort of a picture, an autographed picture and stuff, and that really meant a lot to me at the time. It was very encouraging for a young guy starting out. And then, I guess it was actually years later, once I was kind of up and running, and I had already been signed to Stony Plain Records along with Ian Tyson and Corb and them guys, and had my own band and was on the road, and things were going real good, and was playing a lot. I'd been kind of over the last, I've been at it for about 10 years now, but I guess at that point I had been at it for about 7 years or so, 6 or 7 years, and been doing a couple hundred concerts a year, and I was actually just playing a little hotel in Manitoba, actually, Oak River, just a little saloon there, and Tom called me up there and said that he liked, he told me he'd been watching me for a number of years and liked all the songs I was writing about Canada and how hard I was working to bring my show to every little town along the way. I guess he probably saw a lot of himself in that kind of approach, obviously, and invited me to go on the road. And I was like on I was on a cloud of air. The most exciting phone call of my life, for sure.
Yep. And what were the tours like with Tom?
Oh, I mean, they're really great in the way that you actually get to hang out with Tom all the time because he tours slow. As you know, he doesn't. He doesn't have a real rigorous pace. So there's only like there's always there's usually a day or two between shows and stuff, and there's a whole lot of hanging out and drinking Moosehead beer that goes on, which is which is really great because you do actually get to hang out with Tom a lot and get to know him the way that probably most tours don't. I understand a lot of bigger stars, if you're on tour with them, you actually only see them at sound check or something like that. But that's not the case with Tom at all. So, he's definitely a friend. You know, it's a tough time, of course, for all of us. I don't know. I've never lived in a world without Stompin' Tom. Maybe
so well put. I haven't either. No, no way. So. Yeah. Well, Tim, thanks ever so much. We're going to play your version of the Hockey Mom, since that was the one that you asked me about at the time. And thanks ever so much for this interview.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on.
Okay, Tim Huss from Calgary, Alberta.
When I was young, I do recall I'd go to school in the early fall. But on the days where there was no school, I learned to play by a different rule. Get out of bed, you sleepyhead, my hockey mom would say. Grab your skates and don't be late, there's a hockey game today. My old dad was feeling bad because he couldn't come. He had to go to work, and so I took my orders from my hockey mom. And then we drove to the rink in town, and I'd hit that ice by falling down. And then I'd score for the other team, and you could hear my mom stand up and scream. Get off that ice, I told you twice to skate the other way. And every year she bent my ear until I learned to play. And when my stick got pretty quick and the puck to me would come, each time I'd score I knew for sure where the loudest cheer was from my hockey mom. And then one day a stranger came from far away, and he took my name. And very soon for the NHL I came to play. Mom came to yell, get on that puck and stir things up, show some winning pride. And every time she'd say that line, I'd shoot that puck inside. And here's my dad, old Mr. Glad, he knew this day would come. We're all lined up for the Stanley Cup, and the tears are rolling from my hockey mom. My hockey mom, she's number one. My hockey mom, my hockey mom, she is the bomb. My hockey mom.
Tim Huss and the Hockey Mom song of Stompin' Tom Connors, and you've been listening to a 2-hour broadcast tribute to the great Canadian icon Stompin' Tom, and really gonna miss that guy. How about you guys?
That's for sure, Steve. And I want to say my condolences go out to Lena and the rest of the family. I'm sorry I couldn't have seen him there the other night in Peterborough.
Yeah. And Leon, any final words?
Well, thank you, Steve, for having me. I think I'm the luckiest Canadian to be able to sit on this. A guy I really didn't know, Tom. Loved his music. Got to record some of his music. And I'm the luckiest Canadian to sit here today and be part of this. And of course, as well, the heart goes out to all the family, Tom's family, and all the fans and all Canadians. So thank you very much.
My way to end this program is just to say that I believe that when a person like Stompin' Tom dies, it's big star in the sky that just explodes stardust all over the rest of us. And we all have it in us now. We all have a bit of Stompin' Tom. So he will live forever.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well put, Steve.
We're going to go out now with his favorite song. It even said so at the program guide at the memorial. I Am the Wind. That'll take us out. Take care.
I am the wind. I am the wind. Without foe, without friend, I have no home, no cares to tend. All alone, I am the wind. I am the wind. I am the wind. Where I go is where I've been. I'm here today and gone again. On my way, I am the wind. I am the wind, lazy wind. Gentle breeze in Lover's Glen, in the awesome tales of fishermen, testing sails. I am the wind. I am the wind, contrary wind. Here to serve my Maker's end. I don't believe I've ever sinned. I only know I am the wind. I am the wind, swirling wind. Stripping trees at summer's end. But I'm the song of spring again. Right or wrong, I am the wind. I am the wind, eternal wind. Around the door between gods and men. And if you see how I go in, you'll have the key and know the wind. You'll have the key, my friend.